Welcome back if you're listening on Unity Online Radio or via a podcast app. And welcome for the first time to those watching on YouTube. We're doing a split pre-record of this episode. So today's two guests are showing up as separate YouTube videos. And if you generally listen, but you might like some visuals from time to time, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Victoria Moran NYC, and look for the Main Street Vegan podcast playlist. And speaking of all things Main Street Vegan, if you visit mainstreetvegan.net this week, you'll find a blog that I wrote myself called Growing Older Isn't Easy, especially in a pandemic, but it's better if you're vegan. And while you're on the website, do have a look at Main Street Vegan Academy. The course coming up in late January and early February marks our 10th anniversary. So, what do you think? Is it time for you to become a certified vegan lifestyle coach and educator? If that sounds good, we've morphed our November gratitude offer into a December holiday gift offer. So, you can use the code kindness20, that's kindness with a capital K, for 20% off your tuition at Main Street Vegan Academy. And now it is high time to introduce my guest for this half hour, Jennifer Stojkovic, a multi-talented executive leader in the tech innovation and future of food space. She built her career under Silicon Valley's most prolific investor, Ron Conway, and worked with brands including Google, Microsoft, and Facebook before pivoting to the burgeoning industry of alternative protein and food technology. Jennifer is an industry expert and thought leader, powering the world's largest global platform of mission-driven women. Don't we like that? Who have founded and are working to create the future of food, fashion, beauty, and biotech. And guess what? Jennifer is about to join the author's sorority with her book coming in the spring. The Future of Food is Female. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you so much for having me. That was such a great walk on. Thank you so
well,
much.
It's wonderful. You know, when I first started this show way back in 2012, the nice people at Unity Online Radio said, the only thing that concerns us is, are there enough vegans with enough to say that you can do this every week? And now my biggest problem with this podcast is that I tend to book out months and months in advance because there are so many cool vegans. And I love to tell everybody what you guys are up to and how wonderful you really are. So let's start with some history. And I know yours is somber in some ways of how you became vegan, but we want to hear your story.
Yeah, absolutely. So my story of going vegan and changing my life is a bit of an uncommon one. So for folks, I just want to give like a bit of a warning. This is a story that does contain gun violence. With that being said, so I had a tragic incident happen to me when I was 23 years old, when my husband and I were both newlyweds, a few months into being married. Tragically, our best man and his best friend was murdered in an act of senseless gun violence. And at the time, I had never even considered the world around me or even really what my impact was on it. It is the type of life-changing event that completely thrust me into a totally new direction, a totally new perspective on life. And as you can imagine, something as traumatic as a murder trial, that's the type of thing that really tests you as a human. And so for us, as we were grieving and going through that process, we decided that we would take the road of compassion rather than that road of anger. And so forgiving a murderer was part of it. And we also decided that we wanted to fill our lives with light and make compassionate choices in anything that we could do. Having suffered through such a traumatic experience, we felt we have been a part of the deepest suffering that somebody can feel. And so we don't want to be a part of that for others. I thought the most logical step for that was, what's the thing that we do 3 times a day? And that, of course, is what you eat and eventually what you wear. And so we decided to go vegan really as a way to, I think, honestly, a way to find a little bit of catharsis in this situation and to find a way to free ourselves and start anew. So that is when I went vegan. It's been 7 years ever since. I believe that is the best thing that I could ever do for myself. And creating a compassionate lifestyle is it's the type of thing that it pays you back over and over. Compassion is certainly a muscle that can be exercised and it can grow. Mine certainly has. I think compassion begets more compassion, and it's something that I live every day in my life.
Oh, Jennifer, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for jumping into this with both feet. A lot of people become vegan, and that's fabulous. And you became vegan and literally changed your whole life. So, how did you get from mega tech to vegan tech?
Yeah, so I have been really, really fortunate in my life to have been able to experience just honestly like the most exciting industries that I could ever imagine. I grew up in a very, very small town up in Canada. And so making it out to Silicon Valley and making a name for myself in tech was something I never believed I would get the opportunity to experience. And I was very fortunate to have that. And so after a few years of working in the tech industry, I discovered that food tech was really starting to emerge, and it was very exciting for me, having built an entire career in startups and innovation, to see all of a sudden vegan things are emerging as the next big thing to invest in. And so I started to do a little bit of programming in 2018 in the future of food. I worked with a number of really cool, exciting folks that you might know, like Josh Tetrick of Just, or Uma Valetti of Upside Foods, which is now Memphis Meats, and really just watch them as they were paving the way for the future of food. But the thing that concerned me was that I noticed that there tended to be a lot of male voices. And that started to remind me of my career in Silicon Valley, where I was often the only woman in the room and typically the youngest woman in the room. And so starting to see that the future of food was going to become the next big mainstream industry, and that it may very well follow that same path as the tech industry in terms of not being diverse, not being representative of the world's population, I decided to create VWS.
So, tell us what that is and how we can be a part of it.
Of course. So VWS, Vegan Women's Summit, is a global platform and community powered by women professionals all around the world who want to make a kinder, more sustainable world. We started off as one single event, the Vegan Women's Summit in San Francisco in February 2020. We had 250 women jam-packed in a room from all over the world. And we now today, in December of 2021, have over 30,000 women professionals across 6 continents that are focused on how they can make a better, kinder world. So we focus on how can we get women represented in the future of food, fashion, beauty, and biotechnology. So we support all things animal-free innovation and how we can remove animals from the systems in which we exploit them. We're working to get more women funded, more women as entrepreneurs, more women as founders, more women as investors, more women as board members. We're looking to fill that talent pool as well. We do the only job fair in the entire world focused on connecting women in the future of food. Our goal is to make sure that women, particularly women of color, are represented in the future of food. And not just that, but we think that there's a chance for women to lead it. I think that there's a lot of very promising CEOs and founders out there that are building big, big things right now. Perhaps you haven't heard about them yet, but we're hoping to change that.
That is really exciting. And I love it. It seems like whatever industry, even the ones that you wouldn't expect wouldn't open the doors wide for women. When I look at a vegan event, it reminds me of a church where almost everybody in the seats is a woman, but most of the people up in the front are
Mm-hmm.
men.
Mm-hmm.
So good for you for working to change that. And I just think about some of our amazing mothers of this movement in the business side, like Miyoko Shinner. And it's like, let's just clone Miyoko and have thousands of these wonderful companies. So this next summit is coming up in April. So where and how can we go and what can we expect?
So the next summit, I'm very, very excited to say, will be in person. We will, of course, have a virtual opportunity as well. So for folks that have been part of the VWS community, we have been doing a lot of really great virtual content over this last year and a half. But April 8th, 2022 will officially mark the first time we are back in person in over a year and a half. It is going to be Absolutely huge, Victoria. I can't even begin to explain how excited I am about the Vegan Women's Summit Los Angeles. It is going to be the who's who of the future of food. We are going to be bringing in folks from all over the world. We already have attendees that have purchased tickets from, I think, 3 different continents. At my last glance, when I looked, we have the speakers that we're going to be bringing out. We do vegan athletes, CEOs, celebrities, investors, founders, you name it. It's all the most amazing women that are changing their industries, and they're doing it with a compassionate lens. So it is going to be inspiring, educational, and more than anything, empowering. On top of that, the thing that I'm most excited about for 2022 is our venue is going to have over 20,000 square feet of the VWS Compassionate Marketplace, which is the world's first marketplace featuring the future of food, fashion, beauty, and biotechnology. All types of animal-free innovation. We've got sponsors that are flying in from Hong Kong, Singapore, Spain. I think we just did Berlin. We've got the UK, like very, very exciting products that you probably never even had a chance to try yet, or perhaps don't even know exist, that are all trying to make animal alternatives and cruelty-free products. So you will have the chance as an attendee to experience all of that marketplace, experience the most incredible meals you'll ever have in your entire life, perhaps, as well as listen to the top vegan women speakers from around the world. And the other thing I will say real quick, the number one question I get is, this sounds so amazing, Jenny. I'm a guy, can I come? Everybody from all walks of life are invited to attend the Vegan Women's Summit. We have about a 90% women's audience, but we do get a lot of male attendees as well. And one of the things that's really exciting about our event is that it is a 13+ event, because we do a non-alcoholic reception. So that means that lots of mothers and fathers can bring their young daughters and sons to come listen to this content. It's a really unique experience, I think, for helping to grow some of the young change makers out there.
What a brilliant idea. That only a woman would think of that. No offense to wonderful men, but that is a very, very cool idea. Just, Jennifer, when you talk about all these companies, I'm kind of taking the historic view, because I went vegan in the early 1980s and was trying all through the 70s. And I remember there was one cosmetic brand, one kind of color cosmetic that you could get in this country, Beauty Without Cruelty. And I tried to do a distribution channel for that, knowing nothing about business. I mean, I was a journalist. I could write. I didn't know how to import things. And I remember getting a call from the import office saying something was off. And I thought, oh my God, am I going to go to federal prison? I didn't know what was happening. Eventually, it kind of worked, but there wasn't much of a market back then. And just to see what's happened now, and to think in my lifetime to have seen this incredible, you use the word burgeoning, it's like exploding. So cool. So what are some of your favorite companies, food or otherwise?
It is
just play favorites.
And it's like saying, like, who's your favorite kid? Because there's seriously there's so many companies that are doing really incredible things. I actually like to take it a step farther and say, I actually have favorite categories that are emerging. If you would be so inclined to hear me out. I think that the pregnancy and infant and toddler space is about to explode. Did you know that up until a few years ago, we literally didn't innovate on dairy infant formula in over 70 years? It's still that same crap that they came out with all those years ago. And so tons of new products are going to be hitting the market for infants and toddlers, which really, really excites me. I also think that there's going to be some really cool new future of fashion products. Obviously, a lot of folks probably saw the Elle magazine just dropped fur this week. Hopefully they're going to extend that farther and drop skins and leathers as well. I think there's a lot we're going to see in this next 18 months or so with new vegan fashion coming out. Infant toddler space is really exciting. A lot of cheeses too. There's some that I got a lot of NDAs out there of companies that I'm working with. I can tell you some that I had no idea existed that are about to hit the market in the next 6 months and are just going to blow your mind. We have such a huge white space out there. So for folks that are listening, we own a very, very tiny amount of shelf space right now. I know it might seem like it's always like a Beyond versus Impossible. It kind of seems like it's like our vegan version of Coke and Pepsi going on. But that infighting we're having is for such a tiny space. There is so much more room for other folks to come into this space. So much more, you know, in the vegan meat space alone, companies like Future Farm that are coming up from Brazil and launching all kinds of, they've got 23 countries that they've launched in, and they just got here to the US. The Very Good Butchers I was just talking to, Canada's largest vegan meat company, they're hitting the US next year. There's going to be a drastic change to what our grocery store shelves look like. So if you've got an idea for something, I promise you there's probably space in the market for it. There's never been a better time to start a company.
That is so exciting because I think a lot of new, fresh entrepreneurs look at everything that's out there and think, gosh, I wish I'd gone vegan 5 years ago. But you're saying this is as good a time as then ever was.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you know, it might seem like to us in the vegan space, right? We might feel like everything we hear about is, you know, Impossible and Beyond and those usual few companies, but you need to take a look from a mainstream perspective of what are the rest of Americans and you know, everyday people eating. And they're not even close to eating what we are, right? They say studies show that up to 50% of households drink non-dairy milk in the United States, right? In some way or another, typically almond milk. Almond milk is the first choice, first non-dairy alternative of choice. But less than 3% of Americans have tried vegan cheese,
Why do
right?
you think that is?
Milks have done an incredible job. So truly, the amount of growth that we have done in the plant-based non-dairy milk category is very incredible. It's something that if you are interested in the space, do a little bit of research and digging into the consumer analytics on that, and you'll learn a lot. I think that milk was one that, you know, lactose intolerance is so common that the first thing you think is milk. You don't really think of the other dairy products you're eating. I meet people all the time that say, oh, I could go vegan because I already don't drink milk. And I say, but you're literally eating cheese right now. So I think milk is definitely like the first one you associate with dairy. So it's the first one people try. It's also added to things. So you can kind of slide it in, right? It's your latte with oat milk instead of your latte with dairy milk is not that big of a difference. Whereas cheese, it might be literally the only product that's on your fork or on your plate, right? So I think that when you are actually making it the centerpiece of your meal, it's a little bit more of a challenge to get people to want to try it, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, it absolutely does. And I think that I've talked to people who are lactose intolerant who say, well, cheese is okay. It's
Yeah,
just liquid milk causes me trouble.
yeah, which is not true.
So,
You know, when you think about the thing that's interesting about milk is it's over 2,000 ingredients that are in milk, right? And
mm.
so it is a extremely complex product. It's something I've actually learned quite a bit about in the future of food in the last few months because there's a lot of people that are innovating on milk right now. And from a data perspective, a ton of companies right now are mapping out what are those 2,000 ingredients in dairy milk and how can we create a plant-based alternative. Perhaps on the other end, you've got folks that are saying, what are those 2,000 ingredients in milk and how can we create a lab grown or cultivated version of it that, again, can capture that same consumer in a way that it doesn't harm cows, it doesn't have the same environmental footprint of the milk and the dairy industry. And I mean, more importantly than ever, it's something that we need to be looking at.
Mm.
For folks that are watching on video, you can see that there is some Browning, California hills that are in my reflection in my video, and that is very real to me. Climate change is something that I look at every day, being here in California, and I don't think that it is going to go away from being top of mind. And I hope that folks can make the association with what they put on their dinner plate.
And what are you seeing in the world of vegan eggs?
Ooh, vegan eggs. I think that I actually did an article in Rolling Stone a couple of months ago with 5 big plant-based trends that we're seeing, and vegan eggs was actually on it. So there is a number of new ones that are going to be arriving in the next 6 to 12 months or so. Zero Egg is a really exciting competitor to Just Egg. Liran, she's a awesome woman CEO that is coming over from Israel and really, really expanding quite a bit here. Plantega, if anyone has been following the news, really exciting new one with Yolk that just came through in Berlin. That's Gary Lynn, a friend of mine, that he came out of the VC investing space and came out of being an investor to found this company because he was so excited about the potential I think you're going to see a lot more than just the liquid scrambles. We've got some cool technology that can actually create more of the yolk experience and the egg white and the different components of eggs beyond the usual scramble.
And what do you say to vegans who say, well, I don't know why you want something that looks, smells, tastes like this thing that I no longer eat? What do you say to them?
Well, first off, that is great for you that you do not miss the taste of animal products, but a lot of people do. And that is the reality of it. There's a lot of people out there that went vegan because of ethical reasons or health reasons. I've yet to meet a vegan that said, I went vegan because I just didn't like the taste of meat. I think most people have another reason for that. The other thing that I like to counter with that argument is when I meet meat eaters that say, well, why do you call it a hamburger? Or why do you eat something that tastes like meat if you're supposed to be vegan? And I say, I don't know what animal looks like a mushed up circle, right? I don't know a single animal that looks like a pink slime that's coated in breading. We disguise what animals really look like in the end products that people eat all the time. And so who's to say a Beyond Burger is any less a burger than the beef burger? Neither of them are what the original animal looked like.
Good for you. And I always think the first meats, the first non-animal meats came from Buddhist monks in Japan. They're really holy guys. They just kind of missed what they grew up on. So I'm talking everybody with Jennifer Stojkovic of the Vegan Women's Summit. So you can check that out at veganwomensummit.com. And they are at Vegan Women's Summit on Instagram. So while we're still here and the clock has not said we have to stop, tell us about your wonderful book.
This is something very exciting. So for folks that are listening, you are among the first to even hear about our book that will be coming out. So I am excited to reveal The Future of Food is Female. It is the very first book elevating women's leadership in the future of food. Will be coming out in the spring of 2022. Just turned in the manuscript, talking to our publisher this morning, working on the final touches. We're really excited about this book because in addition to being my first time as an author, it is the very first industry publication to feature many of the different women that are changing the food system. We have women everywhere from creating the future of cell-based meat alternatives to plant-based innovation. We even have a member of the European Parliament in there, celebrities, investors, all the incredible women all across the world who are changing the food system and how we can put them into the spotlight, how we can give them the platform that they so deserve. In my opinion, The Future of Food is Female might be the first time you ever hear about many of these women, but it will inevitably become a history book. And these are the women that you will be hearing about for the next 50 years.
Oh, that's so exciting. So in our last minute, you talked about the book is coming in the spring of 2022. The conference is April 2022. Let's go to 2032. What does the world look like?
I think in 2032, we got a lot of electric cars that are whizzing around. We've got plates that are filled with future products that we can't even envision today. Probably a blend of both plant-based as well as a bit of fungi technology, perhaps a little bit of cell-based technology. The thought of wearing leather seems like something a Neanderthal would do. I think that you are going to see change much quicker than anyone anticipates. When it starts, it's slow, it's slow, it's slow, and suddenly the snowball is bigger and bigger, and it's unstoppable.
Oh, that's wonderful. And thanks to amazing people like you, it's happening. Everybody who's vegan and everybody who's innovating, we are so very lucky. So tell us again, Jennifer, the exact dates for this conference in LA.
So our conference is going to be on April 8th, 2022, Friday, April 8th. You can find out more information on veganwomensummit.com. If you want to be the first to hear when our pre-sales drop for the book, veganwomensummit.com/newsletter. That is the who's who of the future of food. We've got people that follow us from 6 continents, so we'd love for you to join.
And while we're sending people to wonderful places, just give us a little bit of you yourself personally. What's your goal for this conference?
I want to reach women all around the world that perhaps never thought that vegan was something for them. Our goal with this conference is to show women that there is that through line that will connect them with our work and why they should build a kinder, more sustainable world. We don't
I
care
love
why,
it.
we don't care where you came from or why you showed up. We care that you're here now.
Oh, that's so beautiful, Jennifer. Thank you. I mean, I've heard about the conference, and now talking to you, I feel like I haven't just heard about it. I love it. So thank you so much for your time today. Thanks for all you do. Thanks to everybody listening and watching. As ever, thanks to Unity Online Radio, the voice of an awakening world. And to all of you, God bless you. Eat your veggies.